stop. We need you to retire.
Cannot be serious!
Well, hello everyone and welcome back to another video of the F1 22 driver career mode for the opening round of season 3, episode number 39 today for the Bahrain Grand Prix and of this pre-season for season 3. If you missed the previous episode uploaded at Brazil last Thursday, I recommend go and check that out, and of course subscribe if you're new to the channel to see plenty more F1 22 driver career mode videos. But of course, if you saw that one, then you would of course know that we DNF'd out of that race. Leclerc doing enough in the end to actually clinch his second title in a row, quite comfortably in the end, 25 points in front of Verstappen. We sadly slipped to P5 Norris, although it was Sainz, not Norris, who actually claimed victory in there. And there is Sergio Perez has just out the blue announced that he's hanging up his gloves after what is, well, many years in Formula 1 at this point. Decided to retire from F1, so there is a big gap left at Red Bull. And of course, I think you can guess what's going to happen at this point. We are going to try and approach Red Bull because Red Bull is the faster car than AlphaTauri. They accept our approach, so we're going to go for a medium risk as well, just to be able to get a bit more money for Emma's pot. And there we go, 7.7 million. Very happy to that. With fact, we're now alongside Charles Leclerc for season 3 as well. Only thing we can do on the perk fund is upgrade the social media team. In terms of the calendar, one change: Singapore replaces Monaco. I said I was going to do that. Monaco is no longer on this calendar. I think it's the first time in any career mode that I've not had Monaco in a career mode season. So yeah, here we are at Red Bull. Cars are almost ready. R&D wise, we might have an issue. Can you rear downforce is a bit of an issue as well, but there's not a lot we can do. They've done very good on durability, as would expect from an AI team, but not really enough to be able to purchase anything, because you know we're in that stage where you have to wait. Christian Horner says we're comfortably competitive from the start. I think we can be. It's just about that rear downforce. How unstable is his car going to be? We'll find out later in the video. As well as we've got an aero and a powertrain upgrade coming in straight away. Quality control. Time though for the car reveal. Oh yes, Porsche have joined forces with Red Bull as well, new as an engine supplier, and also not a stake within the team yet. Porsche are trying to get that stake in the team as well. Oracle, of course, still there as a sponsor, but they've been sort of pushed out the way in terms of the title sponsors to make way for Porsche. And of course Hilton, another big sponsor for them. But you know, it will be a fresh engine in the back here, brand new Porsche engine, which they've been apparently developing for a little while to make sure that it's ready for F1, and now it is ready. It sits in the back of the Red Bull as well. A lot of the Red Bull powertrains people, of course, that department has now gone because it's all been developed by Porsche themselves off-site though, back in Germany, unlike what they originally planned to, is to have it on-site there as well. A lot of ex Red Bull powertrains people have gone to work on Aston Martin's project. But of course, big things for Red Bull, because of course we have AlphaTauri as well, and there's big changes at AlphaTauri as well, because they've changed the purpose of AlphaTauri. As opposed to being a B team, they are now a second team, and that sign has been signalled by my replacement, because instead of promoting maybe a young driver, which their junior driver program has seen scaled back massively, for example like Liam Lawson, etc., they've replaced me with Kevin Magnussen, and they feel that the car is in a good place, and they also feel that they can now allow their junior driver program to grow elsewhere in teams should they need to promote those drivers. But for now, that's going to have implications on Williams, because Williams had been acting as a third team for Red Bull throughout season 2 with Albon Tsunoda. Williams do keep the same lineup, but the Red Bull money has gone. Much to the light of Mercedes, who they do keep Williams as as a customer base. Obviously, Duracell have stepped in to plug that sponsorship gap, but for Williams, they've lost Paramount Plus. Virgin Atlantic have also we've scaled back their sponsorship as well, but they have picked up a few little other sponsors here and there, which should see them through the season as well. But their big aim is to get Tsunoda scoring points, because he didn't score any last season. Albon scored all 14 of the team's points. They'll be looking to get both cars scoring in the points on a regular basis and move up the field into the midfield, away from the back marker for teams, as we move to our competitors now. Alpine. Obviously Verstappen missed out for the second time in a row on a championship. Still stays at Alpine though, and Alpine have got a new title sponsor in the form of Accor Hotels as well. BWT wanted to renew their sponsorship deal with Alpine, however Accor offered BWT more money, and of course more money makes sense, especially when you've got to fund Max Verstappen's contract and you've no longer got the Latifi money coming in, because they retain their existing lineup from the second half of last season, a controversial lineup in real life of Max Verstappen and Esteban Ocon. Ocon needs to improve massively in the team compared to where Verstappen is placing the car. That is something that both of them are trying to work on, to improve the car and work together to move Alpine up the grid and make sure that, in the constructors side of things, that they're able to fight Red Bull, possibly anyone else, for the constructors title. Not a lot's changed at McLaren. They keep their same lineup for Daniel Ricciardo and Lando Norris. Obviously Norris close to winning a race in Season 2, won a couple of races in Season 1. Google are looking for improvements for Season 3. They have said they want to see McLaren fight for a constructors title or be close to it, or they might consider pulling out of their sponsorship, which would be massive for McLaren considering the fact how much Google sponsors that car at the moment. But Daniel, Ricciardo has had such a couple poor seasons that he needs to start improve and show that the old Daniel is still there. Otherwise he might find himself replaced for Season 4 as well. McLaren looking at potentially at a separating from Mercedes and going for another manufacturer engine, but we'll have to wait and see about that. Next up is Ferrari. Now Ferrari have had an interesting time. They've kept, just like McLaren, their same lineup, which again, a lot of people are asking whether or not Sebastian Vettel should have been let go after a miserable Season 2, but the Scuderia have decided to retain the faith in the fact that Vettel will rediscover that old magic form at some point. Santander is a big name for Ferrari in Season 3, and they are now their new title sponsor as well, hence the white on the car. But for Ferrari, they need to improve. On paper, I've had at times have the fastest car throughout Season 3 or close to it, and they've only, I know Sainz, only won that one race at Brazil right at the end. So they'll be looking for more consistency from Sainz and looking for a lot better from Vettel, because he hasn't even been on the podium yet for Ferrari since his return. So a lot of improvement there for the Scuderia. Mercedes, you never know what to make of Mercedes. One of the big changes for Mercedes is their new title sponsor, BWT. Mercedes lost their previous title sponsor, TeamViewer, after a underwhelming first half of the season. They did improve in the second half, but whether or not they can actually get the results. Hamilton seems to struggle with the car more than Russell did throughout Season 2, and whether that trend will continue into Season 3, we'll have to wait and see. Neither driver won a race for Mercedes throughout Season 3, and the team finished 6th, their lowest finish for quite some time. So they'll be looking to bounce back, but whether or not they can bounce back is yet to be seen. Obviously they have got a couple more other big sponsors as well, which should keep the team afloat and make sure they can invest legally in upgrades to the car in their bid to fight and get back to the winning ways. Moving to the final 3 teams, all looking to escape the bottom part of the grid. Aston Martin, team finished last in Season 2, will be looking to improve. They should be able to improve with their lineup of Bottas and Stroll. Not a lot's changed for them. I've given them a great, finally managed to give them a British Racing green livery, and that livery will, they hope, will be able to bring them forwards. But obviously they need to spend their investment on upgrades first in order to make that jump forwards. Alfa Romeo, at times throughout Season 2, they actually had a car on paper that should be doing a lot better, but their driver lineup of Zhou Guanyu and Robert Schwartzman doesn't exactly spell confidence. New livery for them, they've gone back to a retro white and red livery rather than the red and white livery. And you also notice a lot of sponsors have changed, as Sauber have taken a bit more control back from Alfa Romeo in terms of sponsorship as well, and a lot of sponsors are now Swiss on the car, but for them they need to try and get the best out of their very young lineup, very inexperienced lineup, and then push the car even further up, because they tailed off in the end with upgrades in Season 2. The final team is Haas. Now, obviously, Haas have lost to Kevin Magnussen, which is a big blow. He did score a lot of points, although Schumacher did get points, I think. And Haas, of course, are cash-strapped, and therefore replaced Magnussen with Latifi. So, hence the Safina logos. They've got a black and red livery. Not a lot is expected of Haas. To be honest, they are looking to try and get points in areas where they can do, but obviously they need, with a lack of investment and potentially upgrades, it's going to be hard for both Schumacher and Latifi to make that jump forwards that the team desperately needs to bring the car into the midfield and consistent point scorers.
Just the person I wanted to see. I'm Andrea. I'm head of the R&D for the team. To get used to hearing a lot from me. Your workstation is set up and ready for you. To get settled in, because we have a lot of work to do. If you have any questions, don't hesitate to ask. And welcome to the team.
And already, McLaren on the back foot. If they want to impress Google, but all of a sudden they've gone from the second fastest car over to the fourth fastest car over the winter. Alpine have been overtaken by Mercedes and have also overtaken McLaren. So that BWT investment's actually starting to look good, but whether or not they can transfer that pace on track. It's so close between the top 6 teams. Who knows on their day. Rear downforce instantly between practice and qualifying. Gonna purchase a major rear downforce upgrade. Annoyingly, these are going to take a lot of R&D points and a lot of time to come in before we can have a look at any other upgrades. But now it's time for qualifying at Bahrain, a track that on this year's game I haven't actually been that great at. So we'll look to improve. We'll see what we can do with the Red Bull.
Alright, get ready to jump out if you get too hot in there. There's a problem with the cooling system and it's going to take us a few minutes to correct it.
I wonder if in real life Max Verstappen has to wait for his cooling system. I mean, I know they have these faults in real life, but the amount we've suffered in this career mode is just been intolerable. But especially the fact, you've seen the durability department where they're all pretty much almost on their final upgrades there. Anyway, to qualifying, we've actually set a purple first sector, and that's run fastest compared to the AI through the first sector. Middle sector, dreadful against the AI. Those 2 hairpins there, the one back there and this one coming up, just not good hairpins for a pad player. So compared to the AI, we aren't looking that fast, even though we are improving with the track, of course, rubbing in at the end of the session compared to my previous fastest lap at the front at the start of qualifying. Almost 5/10 up as we lose a bit of time on the exit there. Can we gain time on the exit there? No. Well, yes, we can. Almost 5/10 gain now as we go to the final corner. So we've got a Alpine there being slowed up by a Haas as well. That's right, they're both coming in. And we're coming up to the line. What will it be? That's P10 for qualifying, which in a Red Bull it should be better. But then maybe Leclerc, he has been the team leader. Maybe that's the reason why they went around that route with not purchasing rear downforce upgrades. For us, we need those downforce upgrades. Then I can get the same setups that I've had for AlphaTauri. We can start using them. So later in the season, this car will come back to us. But we'll have to wait and see what we can do from 10th on the grid time for the race.
No more testing, no more practice. This is the real deal. And it's make or break here at round 1 of this year's Formula One World Championship. Formula One returns to the desert today and this exceptional 3.36 mile circuit. 15 corners provide plenty of overtaking opportunities, and it could be a strategic race, this one, with Sakir notorious for eating up the rear tyres. Watch out for drivers managing their rubber at some point during the Grand Prix. It's time to take a look at our starting grid for today's race. Charles Leclerc lines up on pole position, and Lando Norris lines up alongside. As we continue through the rest of the grid today, we have Verstappen, Hamilton, Pierre Gasly and Ocon, Ricciardo, Phoenix, Vettel and Kevin Magnussen, Joe, Sainz, they've taken a grid penalty, Alex Albon and Tsunoda, Mick Schumacher, Stroll, George Russell, they'll be starting further back after an earlier grid penalty, and Valtteri Bottas, Schwartzman and Nicholas Latifi. Now, it's almost time for lights out, so let's go down to the track. A new season then, a clean slate where anything could happen. Anthony Davidson is with me today as we get another year of Formula One underway.
We're into those tense few minutes before the first race then. Everyone's a little bit nervous about reliability. They haven't been running in the hot, turbulent wake of other cars in practice, and they've not been pushing at 100% for long durations. Let's hope no one has to deal with any nasty surprises.
So we are down the grid. Race strategy is going to be a one-stop. Already a couple of drivers deciding to take engine penalties in the first race, so maybe there's a little bit of thing with durability. Now, looking at the times, turns out medium to soft is quicker. Then obviously Leclerc wants to stop on lap 6, so he's on pole, so he gets the first pick, I think. So we'll do the alternate and we'll see what happens as far bright lights to the Bahrain Grand Prix in the opening round of Season 3 is underway. And it's initially a good start, but then watch Ricciardo on the left hand side. He'll just continue to pull on. And actually back to it, so does, I think that's Magnussen behind as well, and on the inside of Ocon. And there's contact with Ocon. I think Ocon has lost his front wing. Not really seeing where I was, as we're going to get a great run on Gasly. Hamilton not winning to give us the almost off circuit there. We are going to dart down the inside turn 4 and get up to P4. A great start as well, as we're watching Gasly now battling with his future teammate in real life, Esteban Ocon. But Gasly's gone wide. He's gone off circuit. He's going to come back into his new teammate, Kevin Magnussen. And it seems to be that corner is a little bit of a bogey corner for the AI, because off also goes Alex Albon at the same corner as well. So that's bad news for Albon, who's battling Schumacher there in the Haas outside the points. So as we come through the final corner then, the end of lap 2, we just walked away there from Hamilton. So once again, Mercedes struggling with straight line speed as well, which seems to be another realistic characteristic of their car in the F1 game, as we're watching Norris versus Verstappen as well. Norris was keeping ahead of Verstappen for now. Team radio.
Somewhere to retire as soon as possible. We can't risk you carrying on with this race, I'm afraid. Again, find somewhere safe to stop. We need you to retire. Okay, we're approaching the pit window. You're going to be on softs.
Cannot be serious!
Oh my goodness. 2 in a row. I think in all the years I've been uploading career mode videos, I don't think I've ever had 2 DNFs in a row. So that already, if we want to run for the championship, already on the back foot as well. Verstappen did get Norris in the end as well, but obviously Verstappen wants to be beating Leclerc, who won comfortably. Hamilton, he actually showed good pace in the end, so P4 with me out the way there. So maybe the medium compound suiting Mercedes better, but obviously they will look to improve. Russell will take note that he managed to, after his penalty, should be comfortable now with those extra parts that he needs. So driver standings, we're in last, first time ever. I don't think I've ever been in last place in the standings in the career mode before. Constructors though, we're still in front. And the mechanical failure, welcome to Red Bull, here's a mechanical failure, and you get no R&D points to help with the rear aero. And it's an energy store failure as well, which is, well, along with the control electronics, is probably the worst one. An energy store actually wears more than the control electronics, so that is bad news. It means we will have to probably end up taking a penalty at some point in this in this season, which is not good. We'll have to think about that, but we'll look to bounce back at Jeddah. That episode will be out on Thursday. So all it says, if you have enjoyed this episode, then leave a like, subscribe channel, and you see plenty more F1 22 Drive Your Career Mode videos with Red Bull as and when they come out. Until the next video then, I'll see you next time. Take care, thanks so much for watching, enjoy your day, and goodbye.